Hello, so today we're going to talk about strategies to help with weight management. Okay, so last week we spoke about the obstacles that we may face whilst we're trying to maintain or lose weight. And today we're going to talk about strategies. So it's worth revisiting a couple of things. The thing to remember is that because of the change in our hormones, in particular estrogen, so those sex hormones, progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone, these are all changing. And because of the change and fluctuation in these hormones, our body is responding to external factors in a very, very different way. And by that, I mean things like food, exercise, also lifestyle choices that we're making. Estrogen has a really strong interplay with other chemicals in our bodies, such as insulin. So how our body processes, digests, and assimilates food is slightly different. So often we find that things that we used to eat and the exercise we used to do just doesn't work anymore. And quite often I will hear women say, yeah, but I run every day and I really eat really well and I eat lots of fruit and vegetables and it's just not helping. I am still either gaining weight. Some women will actually lose weight as well, but gaining weight predominantly is more common. Clothes just aren't fitting me. I'm not feeling myself anymore. And I've got lots of aches and pains and things. So it is really important to consider that that is something that is happening inside us. The other chemical that people don't really talk about during menopause, but is a really significant one, is cortisol. So, cortisol is an important chemical. We need it. We need it to get us up in the morning, to get up and go, to do those exams, to catch the bus, those kinds of things, that kind of fight or flight. But we do need to stop producing it periodically so that our body isn't producing it all the time. And because of the the lifestyle we have these days, and also if you're going through those menopausal symptoms and you are already feeling anxious, you're already feeling stressed, you're not sleeping as well, some of those things may be happening. Your cortisol levels may be higher than they should be, and they may be there all the time as opposed to sort of stopping and starting. So that is going to have a huge impact on how our body stores food as well. Okay, so when we consider all of those things, we then need to think about, well, what am I going to do? How can I put things into place to help me to either maintain my weight or to help me reduce my weight? And when we talk about weight, it's really important, again, I do say this quite a lot, to have a think about separating that out into body composition. So we're actually looking at body fat and muscle mass. And the reason I say that is because, again, as we get older, so from the age of about 30, we start to reduce the amount of muscle mass we have. Okay. And why is muscle mass important? Well, it's important because it is what holds us up. It holds our skeleton up. It helps us to walk. It helps us to sit. It helps us to stay stable, to stay mobile. All right. But it also helps with the process and digestion of food. Okay. So it all has this kind of holistic, it's like a cycle really. And we need every little element in order for us to be able to function optimally. So if we're already losing muscle mass, again, we've already got these hormones that are going against us. It can really feel like an uphill battle. But there are some really simple and effective things that you can do. But above all, whatever I say to you today, the most important thing you can do is be consistent, okay, with anything. The reason for that is whether you're consistently eating poorly or whether you're consistently eating well, that consistency will become a habit and it will lead to an outcome. Okay, so it is really important that consistency is the key with any strategy that you put into place. Okay, so in order to help women to stay consistent, in order to help us to be able to keep going with the things that we need to do. It's not necessarily motivation, but we do need a bit of that to get us going. Consistency is kind of long term. And in order to be able to help women to do that, I've created something called the Training Club. And the reason I created it is because all of us are time poor. we don't have hours and hours of an end to spend in a gym. Quite often, gym memberships can be really expensive. It is so much easier to exercise from home, and it's also easier to have a personalized training platform, and that's exactly what we've done. So it's available on Zoom. There are never more than 5 or 6 women on the program, and it's live. So it's live and on demand, and that really works with people. People don't like, a lot of women I speak to don't like kind of just doing a recording because they feel like they're not connecting to that community, and community is really, really important. So what we've done is we've created opportunity to have live classes. There are about 11 or 12 a week live classes. They're only 30 minutes long, or you can actually then do them on recording if you want to, because you can't access them in time. So it's about giving women choice. I'm all about giving women choice, and that consistency, turning up every day or every couple of days to do your workout, and allowing myself and the other personal trainer that's on the program, Aria, to be able to get to know you and your body really makes a massive difference. Because we can say to you, you need to up your weights, you need to do that squat a little bit differently, or adapt it to any injuries you may have. So do check out, please, our training, my training club. It's on Instagram, and you can also have a bit more of a read about it on the website, which is mirrorsmadefromscratch.co.uk. But let's go back to strategies. What do we need in order to be able to help ourselves to either reduce weight or maintain our weight? The first thing is to actually be realistic about what we're eating. What are we actually putting in our mouth? That's eating and drinking. And the best way of doing that is to start to keep a food diary. So literally every time, just on a piece of paper, it doesn't need to be anything complicated to start with. It just needs to be a piece of paper, and you write down everything that is going into your mouth for the day, and keep that going for about a week. What you'll be amazed at is either how little you're eating, or perhaps what kinds of foods you're eating too much of. Are you eating too many biscuits through the day? Are you having lots of cups of tea with sugar in it through the day? Are you perhaps having lots and lots of fruit through the day? And actually, when it comes to your main meal, you only have one, or you just have a very small amount because you're too rushed to be able to eat. Are you trying to intermittent fast, and therefore you're leaving a very small window in which to get the right amount of food into you? And maybe you're intermittent fasting and actually it's not feeling so good anymore. It felt really good to begin with. So just keep a food diary. What time you eat or drink, what it is that you eat or drink, and keep that for a week. That's really going to help you to see what is it that you're actually eating. The next thing, which, I battled with a lot for a long time, is calories. I battled with this for a long time because I was like, I do not need to know what calories I'm eating. Absolutely not. It can lead you down a really dark hole of becoming very obsessed. Actually, I have learnt to eat my words quite literally, because what I thought I was eating for years and years and years was way less than I should have been eating, way less. So of course I was craving sugar because I wasn't getting enough protein. I wasn't getting enough carbohydrates. I wasn't getting enough fiber or fat in my diet at all. And what I was substituting it with was things like coffee and fruit, because I thought fruit was super healthy. And it is, as part of a really healthy diet. So you will need to work out your calories, and that is going to be important. And it's really important that you approach a professional who's going to be able to do that for you. So for example, Aria, who's our PT on the program, on the training club platform, or myself would be able to work that out for you. And it is not this arbitrary figure of 1,200. I don't know where that came from, but it's a pile of rubbish. So please do not believe the 1,200 calorie that you sometimes get in Fitbits and things like that. So I suggest getting something like a NutriCheck app, or a calorie counter app, which allows you to be able to input data of what you're eating. And you can then check what you are eating, how much you're eating, making sure you're getting enough protein, making sure you're getting enough of those macronutrients as well. Okay, if you don't want to do it, one of the first things that I say to you is that you need to be eating half a plate of vegetables every single meal. Okay, you need to be eating at least 2/3 of your plate. Remainder of that half, 2/3 of that half, is going to be protein. And then a third would be carbohydrates. Okay, that is a really rough estimate. But again, as you can see, I have no idea how much fuel you actually need because I don't know how much exercise you're doing. So having something to check what you're eating is super, super, super important. You really can't do it without that. And there are lots of nutritionists and PTs and all the rest of it who will perhaps say, well, you can just estimate. It's just an estimate. You're not going to get the best results. Okay. And you don't need to do this forever. It's just learning. You've got to learn what it looks like to eat, 50 grams of protein or 40 grams of protein or 30. How much does a chicken breast have or how much does tofu have? And understanding what the nutrients are within the food you're eating. The third thing is thinking about the exercises you're doing. So again, being smart about your exercise. We need to balance out the exercise that we're doing with also slowing down. So I'm going to talk about that as the fourth point. But with exercise, if the exercise that you're doing is not working, it may be time to change it up. And one of the most important things that you can include into your routine, daily routine, is strength work. And by strength work, I mean creating some kind of resistance against your body that your body has to work against. And when we do that, we actually start to reduce and minimize the risk of things like osteoporosis. We also start to promote things like brain health and clear away brain fog. But also when we're exercising, we are producing feel-good hormones. So, with the lack of estrogen, we're not producing as much serotonin anymore. And that's what makes us feel really good. But actually, if we replace that with exercise, we are actually producing feel-good hormones. So we get that burst of energy. We start feeling good again. So exercise works in many, many ways. Doing strength training is absolutely vital. And also, again, thinking about being smart about your training. So you don't need to spend hours and hours and hours in the gym. And on the contrary, that's probably a really negative thing to do. So doing something for 30 minutes every single day, which, it can be for 5 days a week. It's absolutely fine. You can change up your exercise as well. So again, doing something like, you can do anything. You can do running if you want to, but if running is causing any injuries, then slow it down and go for walks. Doing 10,000 steps a day, that is a really good thing to do. But even if you can do between 8 and 10,000 steps, it's just about being active as you possibly can. And then we need to talk about rest and relaxation as well. Reducing your cortisol levels is really, really important. And that, in fact, sometimes is more important than anything else that you do. And the reason for that is if we're very stressed, we're very anxious, this can actually cause that cortisol can actually be in our body the whole time, and that can start to lead to lots of other issues like increased inflammation, and that in turn can lead to other kind of issues like injuries and things like that. So it is really important that we make sure that we're having days where we rest, ideally doing something every day, whether that's yoga or breath work or mindfulness. It can be for 1 minute, it can be a whole yoga practice for an hour, it doesn't really matter. But the most important thing is that you're taking that time to stop and be still. And that sometimes can be something that we all find really difficult. A lot of the women that I speak to find that really, really hard, but it is absolutely vital. And once you start to build that into your daily practice, you'll find and notice a lot of changes with lots of symptoms, such as anxiety and things like that as well. Finally, we're going to talk about sleep, because sleep is something, again, that can be a real struggle for many women who are going through menopausal symptoms. But it is one of the foundational things that helps our body to function better and helps us with weight loss. So getting into a sleep routine, making sure you're getting as many hours sleep as you can. And yes, I know if you are going through menopause or perimenopause, whatever the stages of menopause you're in, and sleep is a struggle, you're going to say to me, Meera, but I really try, and I hear you. But I think what I'm trying to say as well is that there is a connection between sleep and the fact that you are not able to shift the weight and not able to shift the fat percentage to bring that down. So trying really hard as much as possible to bring sleep at the forefront of your mind. So that may mean that you need to bring in a sleep routine getting into that habit of turning off the, any kind of devices, making your room as comfortable as possible, creating that same kind of thing that you might have done for the children when they were young, if you've got children, where you kind of create a room which promotes sleep. And if you get up in the night, think about using an app, or think about using something where you are able to then go back to sleep. Ideally, don't get up and start doing the cleaning or doing things like that, which I hear many women do because they're just up. Well, I'm bolt upright at 3 o'clock. I hear you, because I was the same. But I really tried to either read or to go into another room which was quiet and calm, and I didn't engage in sort of conversation, or tried really hard not to try to start scrolling online. You get wonderful apps these days as well, which can help promote sleep. So try and get back to sleep as much as possible. And again, sleep can be related to a couple of things as well. If you are exercising too late in the evening, doing some kind of cardio workout very late in the evening, that can promote feeling of being awake. If you have not eaten enough during the day, you can actually be hungry, and that will make you wake up. And also stimulants like alcohol and caffeine can also disrupt sleep. So just be mindful of all of those things. I hope these strategies are helpful and useful. But like I said, again, if you would like to have more support and advice, please do not hesitate to contact me. And I would be happy to explain and share more details about the training club, but also the work that I do as well with individual clients and one-to-one. Also, as well as that, the program, the Don't Pause for Menopause program, which is specifically designed to help you with these strategies in a really holistic way.